Look at you, sitting on your couch, an absolute victim of content paralysis. You know exactly what I am talking about. You open up your streaming apps, scroll through the endless libraries for an entire hour, your brain completely melts from decision fatigue, and you end up watching the exact same sitcom you have already seen 5 times. And honestly, I do not blame you. Starting a brand new television show with 10 seasons is basically like signing a mortgage. It is a massive, exhausting commitment of 100 hours of your life, and at the end of it, the network will probably just cancel the show on a massive cliffhanger anyway. Welcome back to Chimichanga Cinema. Today, we are saving your weekend and your fragile sanity. We are talking about the absolute gold standard of television, the miniseries. It is the perfect format. It respects your time, it has a tight setup, and most importantly, it actually has a guaranteed ending. No filler episodes, no plot holes the size of Texas. We have 10 projects, 10 incredible stories that you can absolutely binge in one single, highly caffeinated weekend. So brew some coffee, grab your favorite snacks, and smash that subscribe button before I come to your house and steal your remote control. Settle in, because we are diving deep. Let's go! First up on our list is a Stephen King adaptation that a lot of people completely missed in the endless flood of new content. I am talking about 11/22/63 on Hulu. Meet Jake Epping, a deeply depressed high school English teacher played by James Franco. His divorce is finalized, his future is incredibly bleak, and his life is just an endless routine of misery. But then his buddy who owns the local greasy diner, and who suddenly looks like he aged 10 years overnight, shows him a secret that would break any rational human brain. In the back closet of this diner, there is a literal rabbit hole, a portal that always leads to the exact same day, October 21st, 1960. And it doesn't matter if you spend 5 minutes or 5 years in the past. When you come back, only 2 minutes have passed in the present. Jake's massive mission? Go back in time, live there for 3 years, and stop the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Sounds like a fast-paced spy thriller, right? Wrong. It is a deeply existential drama because the main antagonist here is the past itself, and the past is incredibly stubborn. The more Jake tries to change history, the harder the universe fights back, with car crashes, fires, and diseases. The world literally tries to murder him to keep its timeline intact. Add in the incredible chemistry between Franco and Sarah Gadon, and you get a brilliant, heartbreaking story. The middle might feel a bit slow as he settles into the 1960s, but that detailed build-up makes the finale an absolute emotional sledgehammer. If our first pick showed you the terror of time, number 2 is going to show you the absolute horror of memory. We are moving to The Haunting of Hill House, which critics rightfully called the best horror series of the last decade. And forget about cheap jump scares where a cat jumps out of a closet. Director Mike Flanagan created a deep, devastating psychological drama that is only wearing the mask of a ghost story. At the center is the Crane family, whose story is masterfully split across 2 timelines. In the past, they are a happy, hopeful family, a father, a mother, and 5 kids, who move into a massive, decaying Gothic mansion to flip it for cash. In the present, they are completely broken adults carrying deep, festering scars from the night they had to flee that house in absolute terror. Their mother died under horrific circumstances, the father refuses to speak about it, and the kids are totally messed up. Stephen exploits his family's tragedy for his novels, Shirley runs a funeral home to control death, Theo is a psychologist who is terrified of being touched, Luke is an addict trying to numb his fear, and the youngest, Nell, still sees a terrifying woman with a broken neck. The main conflict isn't fighting monsters under the bed, it is the inability to process grief. This is 10 hours of pure cinematic art. The pacing is slow, filled with heavy dialogue, but the psychological realism is unmatched. It proves that ghosts aren't always dead people. Sometimes they are just guilt, trauma, and our own unspoken secrets. From ghosts, we jump straight into science that basically borders on magic and religion. If you loved movies like Ex Machina or Annihilation, then the name Alex Garland should make your nerdy heart skip a beat. His miniseries Debs is a visually flawless, deeply unsettling hymn to determinism. We find ourselves near San Francisco, inside the campus of a massive tech company called Amaya. It looks like a surreal, creepy utopia, an ancient forest, absolute silence, and a giant, deeply disturbing statue of a little girl towering over the trees. Lily Chan is a talented encryption engineer, and her boyfriend Sergey just got promoted to the ultra-secret Devs department. The Devs building is a concrete bunker housing a floating quantum computer inside a gold cage, protected by massive electromagnetic fields. Sergey goes in and never comes home. The official corporate story is suicide, but Lily knows that is garbage and starts an investigation that will question the very fabric of the universe. This isn't just a simple corporate espionage thriller. It is a heavy philosophical debate about free will. Garland asks a terrifying question. If a supercomputer knows the exact position of every particle in the universe, can it predict the future perfectly? Do we actually make choices, or are we just passengers on a tram riding on pre-laid tracks? You will literally find yourself pausing the show to Google quantum mechanics. It is slow. The dialogue sounds like college philosophy lectures, but if you want smart, mature sci-fi that absolutely respects your intelligence, this is your perfect weekend binge. Sometimes the most terrifying nightmare isn't a ghost or a quantum computer. It is cold, unfeeling reality. HBO's The Night Of is a masterclass in tension, a heavy neo-noir that will literally make it hard to breathe. Meet Nasir Naz Khan, a quiet, polite college student of Pakistani descent living with his parents in Queens. He is a good kid who tutors the basketball team. One night, desperate to get to a cool party in Manhattan, he takes his father's taxicab without permission. He doesn't know how to turn off the off-duty sign, so a mysterious, deeply sad young woman gets in. They do some drugs, drink a lot of alcohol, play a weird game with a knife, and Naz passes out. Hours later, he wakes up in her kitchen, goes upstairs to say goodbye, and finds her brutally stabbed to death. He remembers absolutely nothing. In a pure, blind panic, he grabs the murder weapon and runs. He gets pulled over for an illegal left turn, the cops find the bloody knife in his pocket, and absolute hell begins. The series isn't a simple whodunit murder mystery. It is a brutal, microscopic look at how the grinding gears of the justice system slowly destroy a human being. We watch Rikers Island Prison transform Naz from a terrified kid with big eyes into a hardened criminal, simply because he has to survive. The realism of the first episode will have you screaming at your TV. There is no neat Hollywood happy ending here. The system breaks everyone, even the ones who technically win. If that last story crushed your soul, let's inject some cigarette smoke, 1970s Hollywood glamour, and absolute chaotic energy into our list. Do you love The Godfather? Even if you don't, you absolutely have to watch The Offer, a phenomenal series about how the greatest movie in history was made while the entire world tried to stop it. It is the early 70s. Paramount Pictures is bleeding money and on the verge of bankruptcy. Producer Albert Ruddy is tasked with adapting Mario Puzo's best-selling mafia novel, but literally everyone is against him. The studio executives don't want to spend money on a mob movie. Frank Sinatra hates the book and uses his mafia ties to stop production. And the actual New York Mafia, led by Joe Colombo, declares war on the studio, sending real death threats. Ruddy has to somehow navigate a brilliant but erratic director in Francis Ford Coppola, insanely cheap executives, and actual gangsters holding guns to his head. The casting process shown here is pure cinematic magic. You get to see what an absolute bloodbath it was to get Al Pacino the role of Michael Corleone, because the studio thought he was too short and weird. Actor Anthony Ippolito plays young Pacino with such terrifying accuracy, it gave me goosebumps. And the fight to get Marlon Brando, who is considered a toxic has-been, incredible. Miles Teller kills it as Ruddy, and Matthew Goode steals every single scene as the eccentric studio boss, Robert Evans. It is a wildly entertaining love letter to the insane, beautiful mess of making movies. From the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, we take a massive, brutal crash down into one of the worst tragedies in modern American history. Hulu's Dopesick tackles the opioid epidemic, and it does it so brilliantly that you won't be able to stop watching, even as it breaks your heart. The story revolves around a miracle pill called OxyContin. Purdue Pharma, owned by the billionaire Sackler family, releases this drug in the 90s with a highly aggressive, completely fabricated marketing slogan. Less than 1% of patients become addicted. The doctors believe the fancy charts, the patients believe the doctors, and a nationwide catastrophe is born. The series masterfully jumps through time, showing the crisis from every possible angle. We see the cynical Sackler family in their mansions, willingly ignoring the death tolls just to boost their profit margins. We see Dr. Samuel Phoenix, played brilliantly by Michael Keaton, a kind country doctor who genuinely wants to help his patients, but becomes a victim of the lies himself. We see a young coal miner who hurts her back, takes the safe pills, and slowly loses her job, her family, and her soul to addiction. And we see the frustrated DEA agents spending years trying to punch through a wall of expensive corporate lawyers. The show exposes terrifying corporate tactics, like inventing the term pseudo-addiction to convince doctors to double the dosage of addicted patients. It is blood-boiling, anger-inducing television, but it is an absolute masterpiece of social drama that demands to be seen. We all learned the tragic story of Anne Frank in middle school, but I guarantee you have never seen it told from this perspective. A Small Light is an absolute hidden gem from 2023. It is not a story about victims. It is a story about the quiet, everyday bravery of a completely ordinary person. Amsterdam, early 1940s, right in the middle of the Nazi occupation. The main character here isn't Anne, it is Miep Gies. She is a modern, slightly naive secretary working for Otto Frank. She loves going to parties, she loves her husband Jan, and she just wants a normal life. But one day, her boss asks her to do the impossible, help hide his entire family from the Nazis in a secret annex above the office. And Miep agrees instantly. No dramatic speeches, no long moral debates. She just does it because it is the right thing to do. The series covers 2 years of living in pure, suffocating terror, but it feels surprisingly vibrant. Miep and Jan aren't painted as flawless bronze statues of heroes. They are real people who argue, joke, and try to keep their sanity. We watch Miep scramble every single day to find black market food for 8 people, smiling at Nazi soldiers at checkpoints while carrying illegal rations in her bag. Actress Belle Powley is absolute perfection here. The creators gave the show a very modern tone, making the characters feel like our contemporaries trapped in hell. It is an incredibly inspiring, beautifully made story about humanity shining in the absolute darkest of times. Only 4 episodes. You can knock this out in a single evening, but the emotional weight of it will stay with you for weeks. Netflix's Unorthodox is the story of the most complex, terrifying escape imaginable, an escape from your own identity. Meet Esti Shapiro, a 19-year-old Jewish woman living in the ultra-Orthodox Hasidic community of Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Her entire life is strictly dictated by ancient rules. She is forced into an arranged marriage with a man she barely knows, she has to shave her head, adhere to a strict dress code, and is completely forbidden from having a secular education or singing music. Her only expected purpose in life is to have babies to make up for the millions lost in the Holocaust. Esti is literally suffocating. After a year of a painful, failed marriage and constant pressure from her mother-in-law, she decides to run. With nothing but a few dollars and documents hidden in her waistband, she flees to Berlin. The series is a masterclass in visual contrast. The cramped, oppressive, brown-toned apartments of New York versus the bright, terrifyingly massive freedom of Berlin. The attention to detail is staggering. Most of the dialogue is in Yiddish, and the costumes, like the $1,000 fur Strymel hats, were recreated with documentary-level precision. Actress Shira Haas is the absolute beating heart of this show. The iconic scene where she finally takes off her wig and wades into a lake in Berlin, symbolically washing away her oppressive past, is one of the most powerful moments in modern television. It is a stunning drama about finding your own voice. Are you used to seeing Kevin Hart in silly comedies where he screams, falls over, and waves his arms around? Forget all of that. In the miniseries True Story, he shows an incredibly dark, dramatic side of himself, and it is absolutely captivating. Hart plays The Kid, a massively successful stand-up comic and movie star who is sitting at the absolute peak of fame and fortune. He flies into his hometown of Philadelphia for a tour and meets up with his older brother, Carlton, played phenomenally by Wesley Snipes. Carlton is the complete opposite of Kid, a shady, debt-ridden hustler who constantly manipulates his younger brother's guilt for cash. After a wild VIP party, Kid wakes up in a luxury hotel room next to the dead body of a young woman. He remembers nothing. He is in an absolute panic. His career, his family, his money, everything is about to be destroyed. Carlton calmly steps in and offers to fix the problem using his connections in the criminal underworld, which triggers a catastrophic, violently fast-paced chain of events. Even though the plot is fictional, it heavily mirrors Hart's actual life. It is an exploration of the ultimate celebrity fear, losing your entire empire over one single mistake. The chemistry and tension between Hart and Snipes carry the entire show. You spend 7 episodes guessing if Carlton is genuinely trying to save his brother or manipulate him for a massive payout. It is a fast, aggressive, incredibly entertaining thriller that proves it is very lonely at the top. We are closing out our list with the heaviest, most emotionally devastating, but arguably the most important miniseries in Netflix history. I am talking about Ava DuVernay's When They See Us. It is 1989. 5 teenagers from Harlem, Kevin, Antron, Yusef, Corey, and Raymond, are just hanging out in Central Park. That same night, a white female jogger is brutally assaulted and left for dead in another part of the park. The police, facing massive public pressure to solve the case, grab these 5 kids simply because they fit the vague profile of suspicious youth. Without lawyers, without parents, and under horrific psychological abuse from seasoned detectives, these terrified kids are interrogated for hours until they are forced to sign false confessions for a crime they absolutely did not commit. The series spans 25 grueling years, from that nightmare of a night through their humiliating trials and brutal prison sentences, all the way to their exoneration in 2002 when the actual perpetrator finally confessed. DuVernay created a masterpiece of empathy. We don't see the wolf pack the media invented. We see terrified, innocent boys. Actor Jarrell Jerome, who plays Corey Wise both as a teenager and an adult, delivers a performance that will literally rip your heart out of your chest. He won a massively deserved Emmy for it. It is incredibly painful to watch, and it will fill you with absolute, blinding rage at a broken justice system. But seeing these men finally survive and clear their names is a monument to human resilience. And there you have it, you beautiful couch potatoes. A perfect 10. From time-traveling diners and haunted mansions to the brutal realities of corporate greed and broken justice systems. What is the one thing all of these miniseries have in common? They do not just entertain you. They offer a pure, concentrated storytelling experience. In just 6 to 8 hours, they manage to tell a story with way more depth than a standard 2-hour movie, but they never water down the plot with useless filler episodes like those endless 10-season network shows. It is the ultimate respect for your time and your intelligence. Now, it is your turn to sound off in the comments. Which of these masterpieces have you already binged? And do you agree that the miniseries format is currently destroying traditional television? Or maybe I completely missed your favorite hidden gem? Drop it in the comments below. I read everything, and I am fully prepared to argue with you. If this list saved your weekend plans, smash that like button. It is the best way to say thank you. Subscribe to Chimichanga Cinema, hit the bell icon, watch good shows, and for the love of everything holy, value your time. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.